Months before the coronavirus impacted our country, it began its spread in China. Its citizens have dealt with the quarantine and are now starting to return to a more normal life. We had a chance to talk to an American citizen who has been living in China. He's seen the virus spread from his current home to the rest of the world. And joining us now via Skype from China, Jeff Axelrod. Jeff is a teacher originally from Chicago. He also lived in LA. But Jeff, you've been living in China for the past 2 years. Thank you so much for joining us via Skype. And we want to know what life has been like for you over the course of the last 3 to 4 months.
Well, thanks, Stephanie. Well, it's been a roller coaster. It has been all kinds of emotions. Ups and downs, ups and downs. Obviously things got really, really bad here at the end of January. I was actually on a vacation. My mother and stepfather had flown out from Chicago. Their first time in China. They were looking so forward to seeing everything. Then we were in Beijing and they started shutting everything down. So I came back home to the city where I live, Zhangjiagang, and they flew back to Chicago.
How far are you from where we always hear of Wuhan as being the epicenter of where all of this started? Where are you in relation to Wuhan? And again, once you came back to your home, what happened from there?
All right, well, Wuhan is in Hubei province, and all of Hubei province wound up in lockdown at the end of January. Hubei, there is one province between Jiangsu, where I'm at, and Hubei province. So after I got back home, basically that's when the lockdown started. And so I made a shopping trip the next day just to, stock up on supplies. And then I was staying in.
Were you able to, now, in our situation, obviously we're able to leave and go to the store. Was it a similar situation for you? How strict were these lockdown orders for your area?
Very, very similar. Basically, the essentials were the utilities, so that we would have power, we would have gas, we would have water. And grocery stores, pharmacies, and fruit markets. So some restaurants were able to stay open, but only for takeout or delivery.
How was the community where you live impacted by the coronavirus outbreak? Did you know people that got ill? Were you okay during this process? Did you get sick? I haven't even asked you that question yet.
No, fortunately, I've been fine. And in fact, the only people who got the virus that I know was one of the passengers on the Diamond Princess, who I used to work with back in the 1980s. So fortunately, in Jiangsu province, there were only about 630 cases, no fatalities. And this is a province with 80 million people in it.
That is amazing.
So basically, yeah, it's the size of California and Texas combined with room to spare.
So people obviously took this quarantine very seriously.
When the order came down, there was no messing around. They had security and police posted at the parks and the public meeting places that were closed. So if you tried to get in, they would make sure that you didn't. They were very serious about enforcing this.
So now you explained to me, actually, before we started our taping, that the quarantine has been lifted. So what was that like? Was it difficult to then kind of carry on with life, before coronavirus? I would imagine people might feel uncomfortable or unsure about, going out in public again and doing the things that they did before. How has that process been?
Well, right now, life has changed. We're not out of the woods yet. As long as there are hot spots around the world, and, I'm keeping an eye on the United States like every hour. We've got a tracker app, and as long as there are hot spots, we know that it can flare up at any time.
Do you have any advice that you can share for everyone in America just about how to go about this quarantine process, anything that, you know, looking back that you think might be some great advice that we should adhere to?
Well, the best advice is to uh, mentally look at it differently. You know, when you hear the word lockdown, you feel like you're in prison. But you're not in prison. You're in your own home. You have all of the comforts of home. You have all of your entertainment. You have the internet. Now we actually have these, you know, obviously we're talking and you can see me. I can see you. You can still be social with your friends from a distance. You know, so it's all your state of mind. Uh, use this time for me time. All those things that you said that you would do if you only had the time, well, this is your chance. So mentally, if you get yourself in the state of mind that this is an opportunity rather than a problem, you're going to get through it a lot better.
Great advice. Thank you so much. Jeff Axelrod joining us from China, and we're glad to hear that things are getting back to normal, and we hope you continue to stay safe in China. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Stephanie.